Yes, yes. Hello, everybody. How you doing? What is happening? Obviously, yes, we've got a little bit of bad news, and I don't want to. I'm not gonna. It's a concern. Lisandro being out. Um, I've been saying in the last couple of days, not without cause. Um, it is because of things like this that we were just talking yesterday about the fact that we need a center back. And I think it would be a big mistake this summer to move beyond getting a top class center back. There's a lot. There's a lot of reasons for that, and the reasons will just keep adding up, frankly, time and time again. And it's things like this: injuries. The reality is we don't have a reliable partnership at the back. We don't have a partnership that is completely top level. And I'm not necessarily overreacting to a little injury, but it happens a lot. And little muscle injuries, little things like that. It's just kind of natural. And I look at Lisandro and think, especially following a couple of knee injuries, surgeries, major things that he's had, it's hard to bet, not for his own fault, but it's hard to bet on a player not picking up a lot of little things like that. I mean, Luke Shaw as the biggest prime example of this. Serious injuries often do result in further injuries, little niggles, things like that, little strains, muscle things, and it's hard. It's hard, and it's just it is what it is on that respect. And I think we got to think about that. But we have a game. We have a game today. Lenny Yoro and Maguire will be starting at the back, most likely. I mean, you'll find out in a couple of minutes, but they will be starting at the back. But look, it's like we go every week from even though we've got 5 good center backs on the roster, I don't think we've ever had more than 3 healthy at once. If you really think about it, Lisandro was out at the start of the year. I think Maguire was out for a while. Then De Ligt was in and out. Lenny, I think, was in and out. I don't think we've ever had more than 3 fit center backs at a time. Obviously, beforehand, we were playing with, Mazraoui could play a center back. Shaw could play a center back. That's in a back 3, right? So that gave us almost extra because we always like Mazraoui, Dalot, and Shaw. You're getting these extra options here, and somehow magically Shaw was fit. But I don't think we've ever had more than 3 fit at once. That's not enough. That's not enough. And then there's the quality aspect of it too. So we just have to figure that out. We're going to miss Lisandro tonight as well. The ball progression, we've spoken about this, the ball progression. I had hoped that, Lisandro would be in that role where he could step up and we would play like Lenny behind him and Lisandro could step up as like that quarterback role in the midfield. Now with Yoro and Maguire, not to say Maguire can't go marauding forward because maybe this frees him up to go marauding forward a little bit, but he's a bit more of that central guy who's going to sit in the middle and push the ball around. And we'll have to keep him and Yoro back. And that means we're really going to need Dalot and Shaw to be very aggressive tonight, I think. If Dalot is starting, Shaw will obviously be starting. But if Dalot is starting, then we're going to need him to be very aggressive going forward and attacking as well. But, look, it's not a big deal for Lisandro. I think that the strain happened, I don't think it was like yesterday or something like that. And that's why he'll be back in training this week. I think it was a little bit earlier. I asked yesterday, it was strange. We got no footage really over the last week and a half about things. And I suspect there was reasons for that as well. But we're going to have to consider this. We're going to have to consider this in everything and look at our lineup moving forward. But yes, we have our lineups in a few minutes here. I think right now this is where we're at, but I don't know who's starting over here. I don't, by the way, I'm not trying to leak. I don't know beyond, replacing Lisandro what has actually been selected. This isn't a leak. This is just what I believe. And we just but I have genuinely no idea what we'll do over here. It could still be Mbeumo, Cunha, and Ahmad. It could be Cunha, Sesko, and Mbeumo. We just don't know in that front. But I'll find out hopefully we'll find out. Well, we'll all find out in 5 minutes. So there you go. We'll all find out in 5 minutes. So it's not going to be a long wait. But look, we need a win tonight. Forget the long term for a minute. We can talk about that later. We need a win tonight. And obviously with the injury to Lisandro and him missing this game, obviously it comes a bit more into focus, right? The whole everything that's going on, it comes into a bit more focus here in terms of what we need, and what we're faced with and what we're dealing with and what's going to happen moving forward. So we are faced with some difficulties that we obviously need to see how we're gonna solve. We need time for Lenny. We need time for Lenny to keep developing, because he can be a top player, and that's one of the things as well. I think Lenny can be great. I don't think he's not a good passer. I think he's a very good carrier of the ball. I think that sometimes he's afraid to be as aggressive as we need him to be in progressing the ball moving forward. But let's see. And look, in the long term, I still think Lenny plus a signing is the best future for this club. And maybe it's Aiden Heaven, but I think it's far too early to claim Aiden Heaven as the heir to the throne. You know what I mean? In terms of like coming in on that front. So, yeah, we will see there. You want Sesko to start not for the form of the goals, but he plays the strike. Well, I agree as well. And I think that we need to get Mbumo off and out on that right side. I think we got to get him back out there. And it's a challenge because of Ahmad. It's a challenge because of Ahmad and saying, how do we bring him back? But yeah, I don't know. Heaven's more ready than Yoro. I'm not sure I agree with that. Like, Lenny's had a couple of tough games, but you got to also remember last year, in the Europa campaign, he was excellent. He was really, really strong through that campaign. He's had a lot of big games. He's had a lot of successful games. He's never really got to play in this back four in that sense. Aiden Heaven, there was a game a little bit earlier, where they started together and we were conceding goals left and right. And a lot of that was being put on Lenny at the time. But I remember when I rewatched it, I thought it was more Aiden Heaven's inexperience that cost us in that game over Lenny. Lenny's gotten burned a couple of times by some tough wingers, including against Everton the last time we played. He's conceded a few of those goals from top of the box, Morgan Rogers, all of that. But at the same time, again, different setup, different system, all of that. I think Yoro Maguire makes for an interesting partnership here because in theory, it provides Maguire with a level of coverage he's not getting with Lisandro, right? Lisandro wants to step up. Lisandro's going to be, Lisandro's going to step up into the midfield a bit more. Obviously, he's not going to get back. Does it allow Maguire to be a bit more brave? Does it allow Maguire a little bit more freedom in progressing the ball? It puts Lenny on the left, right? Which very likely he's been better in that position. So I kind of think of it that way when we look at it. Like, this might ultimately be a better pairing in terms of what we have right now, where Maguire can be more aggressive because he's got a player behind him. And I think that when Maguire's good, he's aggressive. He's getting forward. He's dribbling. He's carrying it through the lines. He's breaking in there. He's getting in the box. He's doing things that are more than just a center back, and I think that that's where he could shine in that respect. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what comes of that as well. I think this could work. But again, I think we're going to need these guys to be rather aggressive going forward in the immediate. Maguire Dino will save us. Yeah, I mean, they did well, right? This was the starting pair last year in the Europa campaign, was it not? So there's Maguire. Still no Sesko, man. No Sesko. No Sesko. It's otherwise it's the same. I can't help but feel this is a mistake, man. I can't help but feel this is a mistake, and I wonder, would we have changed anything without Lisandro's injury? You know what I mean? I feel like we wouldn't have changed anything. If it wasn't for Lisandro's injury, I feel like he wouldn't have changed anything. I got 2 Mbumos in there. I meant to put Ahmad, sorry, because I needed to put Ahmad back out wide. Well, let's see. Look, we've done this before. I don't want to make claims about, look, with Lenny in the team, we get more pace at the back. We can commit more players forward. It's still a team that should win this game, right? It's still a team that can win. But I do have my concerns on that front. I really, really think we've been missing Benjamin Sesko in these games. Yeah, Sesko's on the bench. The bench is by Indir, Heaven, Malacia, Mazraoui, Jack Morehouse, Tyler Fletcher, Ugarte, Sesko, and Xerxes. Yeah, I just have this feeling. I do. I definitely. But let's see what happens. Okay. Let's see what happens. Because I don't like to worry too much for the lineups, but I do have small concerns here that if it wasn't for the injury, we wouldn't change anything, and I think changes were needed off of the back of the last game. I've got concerns, man. I've got concerns. I'm just worried, man. I worry about these games. I worry about these low possession games. I worry about how we're stepping up. I worry about what we're gonna do against some big defenders. Unchanged team except injury is a bit of a red flag. I hear you on that too, especially with 2 weeks. It's not like you're riding momentum. It's not like you haven't had time to prepare something. It's a little concern. I'm very surprised that he's not starting with how successful Sesko's been. They're going to play Tarkovsky, Keane, Braithwaite at the back. That's a big group of players. If you look at this Everton team, right? That is a big, physically imposing set of players. Like large. I mean, physically large. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. West Ham and Everton are top 2 teams for goals conceded from crosses, and we've not played our Giants of number 9 either. Interesting. Is that true? Where do you find that? Right, Kerwin. You are exactly right as well on that, right? When we played Everton last time, they really struggled to deal with the players that they had in place to defend against them. Ahmad had a really hard time with Jack Grealish. Like they have such hard, and Grealish isn't starting, right? Because he's out for now. But in Jai and things like that, I just see some difficulties. I just see some difficulties. I see difficulties with this. The same as before, and I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it works out really well. But I do wonder why we're not changing a little bit. I think the West Ham, again, look, it's not just West Ham. The Spurs game was there were some red flags in the Spurs game. There were some red flags in the Fulham game, and there was like I said before the West Ham game, I thought our performances were dwindling, and then it resulted in the West Ham situation. But I look at that and I go, there's reasons to have some fear, right? There are reasons to have some fears. There's reasons for concern. Right. Sesko's better against, let's look at Sesko's goal record here. I'm curious about that too. And we're still learning, right? And look, it's like, it is what it is, but we're still learning. But let's take a look. Here's where Sesko's scoring goals. Brentford, Sunderland, Brighton, assist. Burnley, Fulham, West Ham. I feel like he's got to be in a starting. I feel like he's got to start. I think you're not wrong. I mean, when he started against City, we don't get it. Oops. When he started against City, we don't get a goal. Against Chelsea, not his fault, but Forest, that's a small side. We didn't get a goal there. Wolves, Leeds. I mean, things have changed, but yeah, he did. I mean, I don't know. There's not too much. But yes, all his goal contributions are against more defensive teams. Low possession, low possession, low possession. A little higher, low possession. So you're not wrong. He has had most of his goals against teams that are low possession, that are sitting in defensively. But I think we're not changing because he doesn't want to change something he thinks is working, but the performances in the last 3 games have not been great. We mostly just got the result. I would agree with that. That's my concern. There is a dwindle from City, Arsenal. It's been a dwindling line of performances, and I've got those concerns. I feel that. I see that. At least, yeah. And look, we can cover counterattacks. It's less that. It's like, yes, we can commit some more players forward. I'm not so worried about counters against this team. Barry can be kind of annoying, but I think that Maguire can handle him. I'll be real. Everton are midline counter-attacking side. They don't counter as much as West Ham do. Just make the changes sooner for struggling to score again. Right, halftime. Yeah, like doing things quick. Well, yeah, I'm just worried. I hope we're wrong. Like, I hope we're wrong. But we're all worried for the same reason. And look, it's not just here, right? Anybody who's watched Carrick at Middlesbrough and as coach as well will know that, you know, he has struggled a bit. You know, he has struggled a bit with flexibility in these games. And if you kind of look at the amusing part about Carrick's time at United, this great record against all these top managers, one of the problems is we're playing against good teams regularly. And that's good. That's very, very good. But it's the small sides, man. It's the small sides every week. And he did have these issues at Middlesbrough with a little bit of stagnation against the smaller sides. Excuse me. You're right. It's not a Carrick issue. And that's the point, though, is that, look, our ability to break down low blocks has been a problem for a long time, right? And a big part of it is personnel. It is mostly a personnel issue. It is lack of pace in the midfield and at the back, and it has been a lack of a focal point up front. My concern is we have the focal point up front. We have the striker to play. We've got that now. We're not using it. One of the problems we needed to fix, we have the solution to. For example, when Edison Cavani was available, he helped us a lot in low blocks. Like, if you look at his record in those games, when Cavani could play, we were better against low blocks. He helped us beat quite a number of those deeper block teams because of his striker attributes, his movements, his things like that. Like, he did a lot to help us against low blocks. When he wasn't available, it hurt us. I felt we struggled a lot more in those games. I mean, you know, those were ones that I think cost us on the regular. But it's that elite movement against those teams that have lower possession that's going to help you from a striker standpoint, that are going to help you win those games. You look at like, you look at like the game we came back against Southampton, 2 goals and an assist in that game. And it's not even always scoring, but when he wasn't available, we had a hard time. We had a harder time for sure. Strikers can make a big difference. Ibra as well, yeah. When he came down with injury, we started to struggle quite a bit more in those games. So it's like, yes, I don't think it's a Carrick issue, but it's a personnel issue, but we do have more answers. Yoro's the right call, but would he have changed it without Lisandro being injured? I don't think so. Based on the current lineup, I don't think he was going to change anything. That worries me. Sesko, he should be playing. He should. He just should be playing. 2 goals in his last 2 games. He should be playing. And I get it. It's hard to drop one of the other guys, but he just should be playing. Right? That's a solution to low blocks. The big ass number 9, physical, fast. He's very technical. Sesko's tops. I mean, look, Haaland. Imagine, City without Haaland right now. He can fix this. He's got some options. And I think we're not using it. That's all. And that's my concern, because we're going to play a lot of these games. And it's like, if we don't win today, you have to realize that, like, it's not the end of the world, but it's about what comes next. It's about the games in the future. It's about our upcoming fixtures, because they're going to look like this, right? Everton. Do we have another stubborn guy? Well, I think that most managers can be stubborn. It's just, where are they stubborn on? Look, Carrick is a stubborn coach. He is not very flexible. Anybody can tell you that. Anybody can tell you that as a coach, as a manager, he's not very flexible. It's just, is he right or not? Because there's a value in being inflexible. There's a value in sticking to things that work. There's a value in being consistent. But are you consistent on the right things or the wrong things? Are you stuck on something that isn't effective, or are you stuck on something do you stick with things that are effective?
Hope we win, but when we have to struggle to come up with reasons why a manager isn't making obvious adaptations, it's generally not a good sign.
Yeah, I hear that. And look, I don't want to be too negative, because maybe the feeling is, look, 2 weeks on the training ground, the same side, they'll identify how to win. I hope so. But we need to, but like, we've seen this for a long time. It's more than okay to, yeah, I agree. You have to give what a team needs in every match, right? But like, you look at our upcoming games and you go Everton, Palace is going to be a lot like that. Aston Villa will probably be a lot like that. Bournemouth might be a bit like that. They'll press a bit more. Leeds will be like that. Brentford will be like that. Every other game we play over the next couple of months in the lead-in is going to be like this. Sometimes more than every other. If you look at the ones after Liverpool as well, Sunderland and Forest, we're going to have 2 low-possession teams to play out in a heavy race for Champions League by that point in time. We've got to be good at this. We've got to get this done. We've got to get this done. And look, we all know this thing. I think the thing about it is that we all know why we've struggled. Like, we've watched, part of the problem is that we've all watched United to a degree. What's funny is, like, this is where I do think sometimes fans have a good idea of things, right? Technically, we've probably all watched United more than any coach that comes in. And I'm not saying Carrick may be unique in this respect because he's been around and obviously probably has been keeping up with United. But, like, obviously they're looking at the training ground, right? They're looking at the training ground. They see that. But so did Ruben Amorim, and he made mistakes. He didn't start Kobe. So did Ten Hag. So did so many people. Every coach looks at the training ground. They all value training versus games differently. What you see in game. There are guys who are shit trainers who do great in games. There are guys who are great in training who are shit in games, right? There's a reason Andreas Pereira was the preseason Pirlo, because when it didn't matter, he was incredible. As soon as it started, it wasn't very good. And that is a concern, right? Is how do they balance that, and do they get it right? But it's like, we know what's wrong. We've watched this a lot. Even if we win today, it could still be the wrong choice to go forward without playing Benjamin Sesko. You understand? Like, it's not just win or lose that determines whether a choice is right or wrong. That's why I think it bothers me, and that's why I think it bothers a lot of you. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. Because you can win games. This team can win games while getting choices wrong. We've got Bruno, we've got Mbeumo, we've got Cunha, we've got Ahmad, we've got Casemiro, we've got Kabi. The level of talent in this team is so big. We can win games while we're getting it wrong. I think we got it wrong against Fulham, and yet we won. I think we got it a bit wrong against Tottenham for 30 minutes, and then they got a red card, and we won. You can win games and be wrong, and you can lose games and be right. That's how it all balances all out over the table. So I think most people's fear is it's the wrong choice. Even if it works, we'll be very happy, and we'll win, and we'll lead into the next game and go, cool, fine, I get it. But will it continue? Because that's always been our problem as fans here at United. We'll see a game, it'll work, but does it continue to the next one? Does it continue to the next one, right? Do we see that continuity? Do we see that over the balance of 6 games, is it going to work 80% of the time? Because that's what we need. We need to win most of those games, right? We need to win the majority of them in order to get where we need to be. We need to win like 2/3 of our games remaining, right? So it is what it is. You know, I don't want to make it bigger than it needs to be. I don't want to make it bigger than it needs to be because we've got, yeah, you're right. We have 13 points from 15. But it is a different matchup. It is a different game. That's all. And I personally, I'm just concerned because, like I said before, if you look at our record, we've struggled more. We've struggled more since we've struggled more against these teams than the rest. You know, we've looked at that chart, we've looked at that graph. It's a hilarious thing to look at. But, you know, I'll bring this up again.
Inability to adapt will show up even worse in multiple competitions against different opponents.
Right.
Still think we'll finish top 4 though.
Well, that's the other complication here is we're all thinking about next year. We're all thinking about should Carrick get the job, right? We're thinking this is where it's hard to have things in limbo on the coach. This is where it's hard because you look at it and you go, but we're also thinking about next season. What are we seeing that's going to give us confidence in next year? In adaptability and the flexibility, things like that. And that's definitely entering into all of our thought processes in worrying about every selection, every decision, because Carrick's building a resume, right? And we're all looking at it, and it's every decision right now that is part of that resume. It's every choice that's a part of that resume. It's every win, every game, every loss, every draw. All of that is a part of his resume right now. And so we're overthinking it. We are also overthinking and overdoing it. If we had a permanent manager and he was not starting Sesko today, we might go, mistake, fine. Learning, long-term, big picture, we'll all see. You know, but that's part of it as well. Lukaku always scored against small teams like this. Somebody said for a battering ram striker. That's totally correct. And it's something to be said for, you know, flat track bullies. You need flat track bullies as strikers. It's almost more important that you have them. The majority of your games come from there. It's just the truth. The majority of your games come from there. But yeah, look, we all know. I'm trying to balance this because this worries me. This choice worries me. but I'm trying to balance how much am I worried on the basis of thinking about the long term versus the present. It's stuff like this. I go, not playing Sesko in a game like this just feels bad. It feels like a big mistake. Sesko's been flying, you know, not making any changes just feels bad because playing City and Arsenal with 30% possession is not the same as going away to Everton. It's not the same thing, but so be it. And then it's also just that every game is so important right now. We're level on points with Chelsea and Liverpool. But look, they are different matchups, right? This is this PPDA versus possession graph, which is, you know, pressing essentially and possession. Again, we struggle. Win, draw, 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 win. Win, draw, draw, loss, win, draw. Like, but win, 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 draw, win, draw, loss, win, win. We have a better record against these teams than these teams. It is different. It just is different. They are different games, and it's not an accident. And then you go to Brentford and Bournemouth. We don't have wins against either of these sides either. We have a loss and we have a draw so far. Unless I'm missing some game, right? So, yeah, it's strange. It's just strange. We genuinely have only like 3 wins against this whole group of teams versus like 6 wins against these teams right now. It's wild, but it is a different game, and I think it's justified to have a little bit of worry over that is a nervousness, and it's not all about the coach. It's just, yeah, what do we do? You know, what do we do? That's the question. What do we do moving forward? How do we beat these teams? We'll learn today. Can we beat them correctly and successfully and comprehensively in a way that we feel confident in the future? You know, are there other caveats to that? I mean, there's a question for you, right? In those games against the smaller sides, right? We know, all right, West Ham, Sesko didn't play. Where's the small sides? Burnley. Sesko played.
Carrick's treatment of Sesko already proves he's not fit for the job. Hashtag shtut off my club.
Tubbs, you're a very judgmental guy. You're a very judgmental guy, you know? Thank you for the donation, but you're so quick to judge. But to be fair, we just conceded based on a couple of mistakes in this game, but we did score 2 against Burnley. I think we had a really, really strong second half against Burnley. It was maybe our best performance. I mean, one of our better performances of the season was that second half. We were a little unfortunate in that game. Leeds draw. Sesko played, but we were in this back 3. I don't know. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe Sesko doesn't matter. But then again, he's performing very well right now. Maybe we're wrong, guys. You know, maybe Sesko doesn't help. He started against Wolves too. But we also were lacking all these guys from AFCON. So I don't know. It's hard to measure. We'll just see what happens, man. We can only go off recently. Obviously, that was a different coach as well. Different setup, different coach. We've got to judge Michael Carrick in his own right. In his own situation. Sure. We've got to. Maybe it's to work on his finishing. I just want Carrick to see Sesko and Bumo duo working so well. Yeah, agreed. I want to see that too. I want to see that as well. I do get it though. Like I do get it, the what is the deal with Sesko? Like it is a little bit strange because Ruben didn't seem to have a ton of confidence in him. Eric doesn't seem to have a ton of confidence in him. I think he's the type of player that he needs to just play more. You know what I mean? Some people were saying here that in general, though, Carrick really likes like smaller, more flexible strikers. Is that the case then? You know, when I look up when Ollie was here, we did that a lot as well. You know, we basically kicked out Lukaku off the bat, and there was times when it worked, but it was definitely a problem when we faced low blocks. It was one of the things we struggled with the most, is that under Ollie. And I always felt like it was sort of a bummer that we lost Lukaku, because he was so good against low blocks. He was such a good bully in there. But yeah, Sesko's also very fast and quick. Who is his strikers at Middlesbrough? There's always a victim
with these coaches, man.
I need to update I just realized I need to update that to the summer fund. But there's all, look, that's why, like, I try not to, I said this when we changed coaches. I said, look, there's going to be another guy that's going to be the next one everybody complains about not playing. It's always going to happen. I'm sorry, but it happens to every single coach. There's people they like, there's people they don't. Or there's people that they favor. There's styles of play that they prefer. Every coach has their favorites. It's every single coach. You can't get too heated about it. You know, I said that I felt, to me, that obviously the Cobby thing with Amorim was bad because he's, you know, youth, homegrown, Manchester kid. Like, he's been around the club for ages. Everybody knows him. He's a fan favorite. Like, you get in a bad spot by picking an enemy like that. Not an enemy, but you know what I mean? Like, you get in a bad spot when you leave a player like that out, and when that's the player who's not your favorite, right? You can get away with others, you know? You can get away with players that you don't like, you know? Ten Hag got away with it. Ten Hag got away with not picking Ahmad. He was playing Omari Forson over him. Ten Hag got away with the Ahmad thing. He still had a lot. That wasn't why he lost fan support, because Ahmad wasn't like a fan favorite at the time. Sesko? I don't know. I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sure how people react to that. The reaction today is surprisingly bad. I'm actually surprised how many people are unhappy about it. I thought more people would just be like, "Oh, it's cool." I thought more people would be cool with it, but seems like people are quite upset about it. Well, we'll see. I guess we will definitely we gonna see. These are obviously the games that matter for Carrick, like we talked about, but for us as well. In terms of the picks for today, by the way, I'll just go over these briefly. I did make my picks. I think Mbeumo's going to struggle. I think Bruno will get a goal or an assist, and Jai's going to get a shot, and it's going to be a low-scoring affair with lots of corners. So those are the picks that I've made for the game, and you can do that in the link below. And obviously, I'll be live for the watch-along there in about 45 minutes as well. So do that too. Cunha was more impactful as a sub. I don't think it's about learning the league. I would... You know, the thing about it is, all right, let's say one thing that we could change about the last game too. I'd like to see whoever's there taking more shots from distance. Cunha, Mbeumo, and Bruno. I'd like to see us getting more shots from outside the box, because we need to pull teams out more. And one of the things I thought we were shit at against West Ham, which was surprising, is we didn't threaten them enough. You know what I mean? Even with the players we had on the pitch, we could have done a lot more. We could have done a lot more in that front and just threatening them, taking those long shots, hitting it from far away. You're pulling the defense out. You're keeping them honest. You're making them come out and defend against you. When you're doing that. And that's one of the things we can improve. So in a positive sense, We need to take more shots from outside the box. We have more pace at the back to prevent counters. Maybe we can be more aggressive then in going forward with numbers, with Maguire, with all of that. And maybe that'll all help us, even with the lack of changes to the lineup. That being said, though, you know, I would have a little bit of concerns that I do have a few little concerns that you know, based on Carrick's comments, he wasn't going to change the back line either. You know what I mean? And then is it going to be Cunha up front with Mbumo back? That's a question. On the left. Because what did he say? He said he picked up something during the week. It doesn't seem too bad. We're working through that at the moment. He's not available tonight. Lenny has done well. He comes in and we move forward. So, like, I think he is pretty much saying there specifically he wouldn't have changed it without the injury. That worries me. We should have changed it anyway. We should have changed it anyway. We should have changed it anyway. That's my opinion on the matter. We should have changed it no matter what. It shouldn't have been because of Lisandro's injury. We should have changed it anyway. That's my feeling. So I guess we'll see. I hope, you know, Carrick's there. He's still got a good record. These are the big ones. These are the job earners, though. These are the big calls. That's what he's there to do. Make the big calls. Win these games that we need to win. That's all that matters. Let's hope we come back a few hours from now over here and we've got to win. You think Leach should have been changed out anyway? Probably. I was at one or the other, but I don't think either were going to be changed. Like, it could have been Harry. For me, it doesn't really matter. I actually don't mind either way because there's pluses and minuses to both. And the reason there's pluses and minuses to both is because we have still a team, especially in the back line, like we were talking yesterday, that is still flawed. They all have flaws. Maguire would have been better for the boxes, right? For crosses, dealing with the crosses that Everton do, crashing the box, you know, the height, things like that. Lisandro would be better for on ball, getting it forward, breaking the lines, things like that. So there's pluses and minuses to either, but I think one of them should have come out regardless. And it doesn't really bother me which. That I don't think we know the right answer to. There's pluses to both. Maguire could have been more important, but I don't think either were going to be changed without Lisandro's injury. That's the part that concerns me a little bit, but hey, we'll see. We'll see. It's all good. Let's hope we are just winning. That's it. Let's hope we just win. Let's hope there's other factors, but let's hope we win well also, because we want to walk away from this game with confidence that going into games like Palace and these others, that we know how to break them down and beat them. That's what's important. All right. Yeah, please do smash a like on the video as well. Few hundred here. You can get it to 100 likes. It would mean a lot to me. Appreciate that. But otherwise, let's poll it. Let's poll it. How are you feeling post lineup? Good. Worried. Do that. How are we feeling? Where are you guys all at right now? Good 40%, meh 36%, worried 21%. Okay. Meh. Meh. Meh winning the race right now. That's how I probably feel. That's probably how I feel. I feel a little meh. A little meh. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to end it there. Once again, you can get over on Big Up. The link is below, not just to play the game and make your picks, but also I'll be live there in about 30 minutes for the match. I'm going to eat some food and get prepared since it'll be like 3-4 hours back to back after that. I'll be here after the game for the post-match watch-along chat. We'll see if we have time. It's an evening, weekday game. We'll see if time to bring callers in and stuff like that afterwards. But we'll see. Hopefully a couple hours from now we come back here happy, 3 points clear of Chelsea, 3 points clear of Liverpool, 3 points behind Aston Villa, and ready to go. An early goal would be a big difference maker there. That would help a lot. Maybe while the game is a little more open, we can score, pull things out, make it all work. But yes, I'll be back in a couple of hours. Drop a like on the video. Head over to Big Up and hang out with me there. You can download the app as well. Just, have me on your phone while you're watching the game. And I hope to see you all over there, and then I hope to see you here afterwards, okay? Enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and enjoy the game. And either way, hopefully I'll see you a little bit later with a win. Bye.